Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. A few people had requested that I make this video, so here it is. I've actually seen this fan theory floating around myself, and in this video I'll just be discussing it and letting you know what I think. The theory is a bit of a crude one, and it essentially states that Voldemort's baby, or small form, that we see Pettigrew carrying around, is a result of fetus possession. Possession is one of the darkest forms of magic, and we know that Voldemort is capable of it, so it might just be a possibility. Outside of the possession that I'm about to discuss, we know Voldemort to have possessed Harry, Ginny, Quirrell, Ron, briefly, and numerous animals when he was still in his wraith form. Another thing that we know is that Voldemort can only possess things that are attached to him in some way, aka interacting with one of his Horcruxes. Let me expand on this theory a little bit further before we dive in. J.K. Rowling has been quoted as saying that the rough draft of the Goblet of Fire made her editor sick to her stomach. If this is the case, then this rather gruesome theory sort of checks out. It starts with Bertha Jorkins, who was a witch and Ministry of Magic employee. She was a few years ahead of James Potter, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew when she attended Hogwarts. In 1994, Bertha Jorkins made the unfortunate decision to take a trip to Albania. As we know, Voldemort and Pettigrew were in Albania at this exact same time. Pettigrew, a former peer of Jorkins, convinced her to take a stroll with him into the woods. It was here that Voldemort, who was hiding in Albania at the time, tortured and murdered Bertha. As we know, in order to create a Horcrux, murder is necessary. So in killing Bertha, Voldemort was able to turn his snake Nagini into a Horcrux, the same Horcrux that Neville cuts open in the Battle of Hogwarts. This is where the dark and twisted theory comes into play. The theory is that when Pettigrew killed Bertha, she was actually pregnant, and that Pettigrew took the fetus from her corpse. It was this same fetus that Voldemort possessed, and that Pettigrew dumped into the cauldron with the regeneration potion. This of course means that the body that we see Pettigrew carrying around is nothing more than a possessed fetus and the unborn child of Bertha Jorkins. Some people have made an exceptionally crude argument for Peter actually impregnating Bertha to produce the fetus, but this doesn't work out with the timeline and is quite awful to think about. Okay, so what do I think? I think that this theory actually checks out in a lot of ways. First of all, it would certainly be gruesome enough to make Rowling's editor sick to her stomach, particularly if Peter did any sort of impregnating. Secondly, we know that in order for Voldemort to possess something, it needs to be related to a Horcrux in some way. I think the fact that Bertha was killed to turn Nagini into a Horcrux is more than enough to support that Bertha and her unborn child are related to Horcruxes in some way. Thirdly, it definitely makes sense with regards to Voldemort's physical form. He doesn't seem to be quite baby, but also not quite creature. His form is underdeveloped in a lot of ways, and we also know that the act of possessing something can result in some unfavorable changes in physical appearance. And lastly, assuming that Bertha was already pregnant, it all checks out with the timeline. We know that Bertha was murdered in 1994, and we know that Voldemort gets his body back on the 24th of June, 1995. Assuming Bertha was murdered late in 1994, then the size of Voldemort's physical form in June 1995 would sort of make sense. The problem with this theory, however, is that we know that Voldemort is the recipient of the rudimentary body potion. The rudimentary body potion is essentially a dark potion composed of unicorn's blood and Nagini's snake venom. The purpose of the potion is to help to restore non-corporeal wizards to a rudimentary or more basic form. It was this potion that was able to create a rudimentary body for Lord Voldemort's disembodied soul fragment to be directly transferred into. The body is described as being small, about the size of an average baby, and wrinkled with red and scaly skin. In a way, this sort of contradicts the above theory, because it's basically just stating that his physical form was purely the result of the potion. However, in his spectral form, it's hard to say how he would have actually ingested this potion. This is where the theory still has some merit, as Voldemort may have possessed the fetus in order to ingest the potion. And alternatively, Voldemort's spectral form may have just been submerged into the liquid potion, resulting in his physical form. And that's all for this video. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Until next time, you're a wizard, Harry.